what is up, guys? My name is LockIsLive. You may also know me as Nathan Lockhart, and if you do, it's either you're a stalker online or you're someone I know in real life. So the two people I got with me is Yankees Outdoor Adventures,
Hey, greetings, or Kalamunsi Hutch. You got Yankee here.
and we also have a friend of mine named Dragon Tech. Yankee's unfortunately not a friend of mine, but Dragon Tech is a friend of mine.
Hello, everybody. How you doing?
These two people are very fascinating and interesting people. I love having conversations with them, just the way they think. They're very open-minded and they're into conspiracy theories. And honestly, conspiracy theories is something that can be talked about for hours, I think.
Undoubtable.
I think what
Definitely.
makes conspiracy theories so interesting is while a lot of people will consider them like hot button topics, you can't really disprove every theory. It's hard to say aliens don't exist. If someone's going to hardcore say aliens don't exist, that's just not a realistic statement to make. But as far as we know of they don't exist, that might be a valid statement. But to say they completely don't exist is a whole nother statement. And in this podcast, we're going to talk about different conspiracy theories, such as time itself, which, yes, on its own can be a conspiracy theory, because let's be honest, we understand time way less than we realize. We're going to be talking about aliens. We're going to be talking about, I think it's called cryptoids. Is that how you pronounce it?
Yeah. Cryptoids,
Cryptids, cryptoids.
cryptozoology, cryptids in general.
Today we're going to, I guess, I don't want to say start off simple, but start off on something that everyone can relate to, and that is the Mandela Effect. So right off the bat, if you don't know what the Mandela Effect is, to the audience, don't worry, we are going to get to this, but I am going to ask the host a bunch of questions leading into this. All right. So Dragon Tech, Yankee, whoever wants to answer this first, we can treat this like Family Feud. Hit your buzzer, do whatever it takes. I want y'all to spell Looney Tunes for me off the top of your head here.
Oh, wow. It's been ages since I even watched
Yeah,
them.
I'm trying to watch Bugs Bunny in my head here, guys. Come on now.
Let me throw y'all one. So on paper,
I think it is. I think
Okay.
Tunes. I believe Tunes though is because it's not tunes like music. It's they're tunes like cartoons, and it was spelled TOONS.
So
Yeah,
the
that's
most
what I got in my mind.
interesting thing is that's what I had in my mind. But it's actually tunes like music. When you see that on paper, it doesn't even look near as good either. And to my memory, I always remembered it spelt the other way. So that's what the Mandela Effect is. We all
It's
kind
a
of
perfect
remember
example.
something as one thing, and then it actually turns out to be a completely different thing. Does our memory fail us? Does our memory fill in the blanks? This is what we're going to talk about. Another example is Oscar Mayer Wieners. It is actually spelled with an A and not an E, which is odd. Fruit Loops is...
No, well, that one was never odd to me, though.
It's not. Okay. You
Because the
study your
first time
wieners.
somebody even asked me, right? The very first time, you should have asked me that one because I would have got
Okay.
it right. And I'll tell you how I got it right. I was not very good in school when I was young. It took me till I was older till I finally lined out. I was quite a daydreamer. And at one point, the only words I knew I could spell was Oscar Mayer Baloney because of the commercial. And it was
Yeah.
spelt with an A.
And it made you spell it out, too, because that was part of the theme song. My Oscar Mayer
what?
has a first name.
Yep.
Yeah. You can probably find them videos on YouTube, but
Yeah, you will.
I don't know if it'll spell it the way I remember it, though.
They're jingle. Yeah, but I mean the way I remember it. I'm not going to sing for you guys. I remember it with an A.
Huh. Okay. And then Fruit Loops is not spelled with Fruit Loops is spelled like fruit. It's not spelled with two O's. I always remembered it having two O's actually. I always thought they were like fruit, FROOT, so they could add like their little cereal in it in the middle as like the O's. but only the Luke's
Yeah.
part is spelt with the two O's, which is also a weird one that I don't remember. Now this one will go to the grave bothering me a little bit. Cheez-Its. It's not Cheez-Its at all. My whole life is actually a lie. It's actually just Cheez-It, which is definitely going to be keeping me up at night. And then Luke, I am your father. The famous Star Wars quote is even incorrect. That is not the quote. It is no, I am your father, which is really odd.
Well,
That's whoa.
Can we address that one real quick? Because
That's what we're here for. This is what a podcast is. Let's go for it.
Okay, the Star Wars one, in my opinion, is a great example because of suggested memory. All right, and we'll get into more about what I'm talking about with suggested memory. But you know what we just experienced a moment ago. Three of us talked about a Mandela effect, and all three of us remembered it the same way, and all three of us remembered it wrong. Okay, now this sounds like this is something magical. But is it possible for people to have the same wrong memory? Now, I'm here to tell you definitely yes, because we get the same wrong input about that memory. And what I mean is, let's go to that famous Star Wars saying, no, I'm your father, or Luke, I'm your father. You have heard in your lifetime many, many recreations of that line using Luke, I am not your father. You can, if you think hard enough, you'll think of a skit on SNL or something, and they will say it, Luke, I am not your father, or from a cartoon strip, and they'll say it, Luke, I am not your father. That is enough to alter our memory of what we thought we knew to what we now know. It's a proven fact. Police will not take testimony after so many hours after, because it becomes invalid. And the reason this is because it's a fact that our minds are affected by our own opinions and thoughts, even our memories. So the longer I wait after you witness a crime, the more time I give you to imagine other things that could have happened or didn't even happen at all. This doesn't make you a liar. It just is the way our brain works. And you'll actually truly believe it. I can give you a point where you have recognized it in your life. Have you ever misplaced something, but can fully remember in your mind exactly where you sat it, but it's not there? And then a few hours later, you finally find it sitting somewhere else. And the second you do, you remember, oh, yeah, I sat it there earlier, right? Has that ever happened?
Oh yeah,
100%,
I've
yeah.
an air
It's
conditioner remote
happened to
one
all of
time.
us. This is the Mandela effect, guys, in a small form. This is a personal Mandela effect, because before you found your keys and remembered, oh, yeah, I put them there, your memory 100% told you you put them in the other place. You could remember doing it. You could close your eyes and see yourself doing it, right? But your memory was wrong, wasn't it? Now, want to add it into a bigger Mandela effect? Have your kid always watch you put your keys in that same place every day. And then you accidentally put them in this other place and you forgot. And you can't remember where your keys is. And you say to your kid, where's my keys? And he says, I remember you putting them right there. See, because he sees that every day. So it's already an instilled memory for him. Now we got two people that believe the keys were right there. And remember, we're going to find them later. They were never there, but we fully remember they were.
I
That's
almost
the
lost my
Mandela
keys the
effect
other day.
working. Okay, this is the Mandela effect in work. That's what it is. Now, why does it affect so many more bigger people on a bigger scale? You're talking about things that are mass produced or mass pushed to the public. If you're watching it on TV or the news or the commercials, millions of people are seeing it. So, of course, millions of people are getting a conception of the memory, and millions of people have the same ability to get the misconception by numerous ways. But I know I rambled a lot, so let me step back and let somebody else go ahead in there.
I guess my question is, from a business perspective, if someone remembers something one sort of way, why don't they change their name or change their branding or something like that? To me, that doesn't really make sense. I feel like that would be way more promotional if they just kind of leaned into whatever. For example, Cheez-Its, it's going to bother me. I will be contacting them.
Yeah, that one's bugging me too.
Well,
But I want to go back to the Looney Tunes one for a second. And this one, I want to see if this makes more sense when I explain it this way. Now, the current way is spelled with the Tunes, but cartoons is spelled with Cartoons, correct?
Yeah, that to me, that's also part of the confusion. It's like, why don't they just, at this point, they might as well just lean into it. It bugs me that it's
but
not
in
that way
defense,
almost.
okay, now so
Yeah, it's
here
not a
you go.
musical.
But now let me stop you for a minute, and this is why. Because of that, because you know how to spell cartoons and you know they are cartoons, that one makes more sense to you, right?
Right.
So that's logical. This may be why your memory has changed it. Because I'll give you one slight little proof. If you think about that logo where they all pop up out of the middle, there's also music notes around it, like tunes.
Oh,
Ah.
I never
Okay,
noticed that
interesting.
before.
So and this is what I said. There's many reasons why our memory can change something. It doesn't have to be changed by somebody influencing you. It can be changed by your own knowledge. And the Hamilton experiment is a great example. Many people believe Hamilton was a president, right? But he wasn't a president. He was one of our forefathers, right?
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes.
Dun, dun. Okay. But many people believe him as a president. In fact, many people will pick Hamilton over existing presidents as a person who was a president. Why? Now, the reason, the best scientific reason they could come up with had to do with the timing of your learning about Hamilton. Most likely, when you learn about Hamilton, you were third, fourth grade, you learned that he was the forefather of your country. He was brought up a lot because he had a strong role he played. And you also, at the same time era, learnt the early presidents. Because you were taught these two things in the same time zone, your memory morphed him into a president.
And by any chance, is he on any type of U.S. currency?
Isn't isn't he $10 bill?
It is okay, because
Yep.
I
And you
maybe it's
call
just
that dead
me
presidents,
and
right?
me
We
not.
call that dead presidents.
Yeah, because most presidents are on U.S. currency, but not all of them are U.S. presidents. Like Benjamin Franklin was never a president, right? And he's what? Okay, wait a minute. Is he on
Well,
any
I don't know what
currency?
Ben Franklin was never a president. No.
But he's on the $100 bill,
A
right?
$100 bill. Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
But we call them dead presidents. So again, if you may do a poll of 200 people and over 100 of them may tell you they remember being told Benjamin Franklin was a president. Well, they probably
I thought
weren't
he
ever
was.
told that. They remember it because we all say dead presidents on the money. They learn about this man's name at the same time. They learn about George Washington and Jefferson, and all this affects your brain. And your brain's a magical thing, man. It's like the most awesome thing in the world is the human brain because it can really do anything. It has the ability to make you believe any reality. And that's the scary part in a way too,
Well,
especially if you lose your mind, because you can literally believe any reality. Happens to crazy people all the time.
Well, what has me baffled is if these were isolated cases, in smaller groups or something like that, it'd be much probably easily more explainable. But this is a type of effect that's happened all around the world, and I'm
Well,
wondering how can so many people have so many false memories of the same thing, and it's just beyond explanation for me.
I,
and it can be. It goes, and if you want to go into the more sci-fi side of it, this, and like you had mentioned earlier about the collider and it being turned on and things kind of started back around that time. Um, that was a scientific proof. God, what is his name? Nobody ever remembers my proper name, which is Makalawanos. So I kind of always have trouble remembering others. I think it's out of spite, and I should do better. But what was the name of the doctor that did that explained the physics cat in the box experiment? Anybody know that?
Oh, Schrodinger's cat.
What was it?
Schrodinger's cat.
Schrodinger's cat. Okay, thank you. Schrodinger's cat, and I can give you the whole explanation of what it is. Imagine a cat with a time release of radioactive particle that'll kill the cat instantly, wearing it around its neck inside a box with a lid on the box. At this point in time, the cat is neither dead or alive. In his experiment, stating that. We don't know the answer until upon observation. And either reality or even both realities, the cat could be dead or the cat could be alive because you didn't observe it yet. Both realities exist at the same time inside that box. Okay.
Okay.
Did that make sense to you guys? Did I explain that well?
Yes.
Yeah. I'm familiar with Schrodinger's cat theory.
Okay.
But
So,
the Hadron Collider didn't.
Point, but the point behind the experiment, because it come from the fact that they would create particles, and particles would seem to act in more than one places at once at the same time. Okay, now this is on a microscopic scale in laboratories. They're creating these particles like the Hadron Collector, and they would notice that when they created these particles, they would happen in more than one places at once, what seemingly the same particle, which kind of indicates, that doesn't prove, but it doesn't disprove, that there's an alternate reality to everything. The particles appear in more than one place at once because there's an alternate reality allowing them to do this. Okay? That is the key factor conspiracy theorists go on with the Mandela effect, is that we are all somehow weaving realities with these alternate universes. But I would argue that particles and alternate universes are two very different things. But that's just, I mean, it was to explain the reactions of these particles. Doesn't say that it would anywhere be possible for you to slip in and out of other realities. And that's what would have to be happening if our brains are remembering things wrong.
I think
that
that's
was
just
kind of
a fun answer. And if you look at the science and psychology of it, to me personally, the science and psychology makes more sense. I'm very skeptic on like even ghosts and stuff like that and the paranormal, because a lot of situations can be explained by like science. People will be like, "Oh, my microwave is doing this weird thing," and it's like, "Oh, you got roaches all in your microwave, bro. That's not a ghost. You got like 30 roaches in there. What you talking about?" I mean, stuff like that. And a lot of people like to be like,
Well,
"Oh, it's."
You could literally see something and your brain conclude what it is. I mean, come on. Any of us at some point in our lives as a little kid, maybe the lights cast a quick shadow that made you think it was something else, and then you realized, oh, it's the chair, right? I mean, so if you don't get the opportunity to know it was the chair, you only got to see the glimpse of the shadow. Now your brain gets to go wild like it did when you were a kid, because there's no difference between your brain now and then. It still wants to learn and know everything. That's its job. And if it doesn't know it, it'll lie to you because its job is to know, period.
I was reading here a lot of people are thinking or blaming the Large Hadron Collider in CERN, Switzerland, might be the cause of all this. But it first started up on September 10th of 2008, and people have been experiencing Mandela Effect way before that.
Sure.
So that's already been disproven right there. There was a young prodigy kid that was saying that may have phased us into an alternate reality or parallel universe where things look a lot the same, but little things are different. But I mean, like I said, these experiences have been happened well before that date.
Right.
I think it's
Right. Well,
related
you know,
to
I mean,
the
again, to me, I'm more like Locke. I lean toward the skeptical side because, again, look at a courtroom. Okay, there's a reason why it's against the law to coax a question to a client or a witness. Okay, and what I mean is, I'm not allowed to say to you, "Did you see the black car?" Because I'm pretty much telling you it was a black car. And by doing that, the court knows you could honestly say yes to black car, not knowing any better, because that little input made you say, yeah, it must have been a black car. He said it was. Okay.
Mm,
So that's why you have to present your question. Did you see a car? What color was it? You're not allowed to say in court, did you see a black car? You know, but the fact is that shows you that we know about this thing and the human brain. When we have to be careful because most sane and normal people of the world have the same function. And how can so many millions of us have it at the same time? Because we're all human beings. Welcome to being a species. And yeah, as crazy as it sounds, because we're all independent and we're all so different, we're all very much alike. Very, very much
as you
alike.
describe this, I realize it's definitely related to the chemicals in the water that's also turning the frogs gay, I think. No,
could be,
I'm just being
could
very
be.
stupid. It
But
on
That'll
a
be
se-
next episode.
on a serious note though, it sounds like almost like a human glitch, like a glitch in the brain. That's really what it sounds like, is like a glitch in the brain, honestly.
I think
But
it's more like storage of the brain, dude, to be honest with you. You know, our brain's only so big anyway, and it actually creates spots to store everything you ever learn. Even the things you forgot are still actually etched in there at
You
some
gotta
some spot.
upgrade your
And they're there.
storage plan to remember it
There you
correctly.
go. You know what? But there's maybe the humans would overcome those little adversities if they started doing that, putting a memory card chip in the back of the brain so your brain doesn't have to hold so much. And now all of a sudden, oh wow, you know, that don't happen to you. Now you just stick the right card in and you know exactly what you need to know. But don't ask me any questions about something else because I ain't got that card in right now.
Elon Musk has entered the chat. I
Yeah.
don't, very scary.
Yeah, well, I don't endorse any brain implants, guys, unless you need it for physical reasons, like you're handicapped and they think it might help. Then go for it, but don't do it to enhance your life. That's
well,
for
this
sure.
topic is definitely making me mentally handicapped at the moment because I still get it's hard to wrap your brain around.
Oh
Well,
yeah,
it
for
Um,
is.
sure.
The biggest thing with the Mandela effect is when it comes down to alternate universes, this is the same thing with many, many, many conspiracies and why they will always continue. You can't disprove it. You can't prove it. But the key thing is here, you cannot disprove it. So as long as you cannot disprove it, it will always be a conspiracy. It will always be on the table.
yeah, and it'll always
Period.
be a theory. So
Yep.
yeah,
Yep.
because here's the thing: is as when I was a kid, and I still have this vivid memory to this very day. I remember I know I was in kindergarten. I was living in a small town. We went to the grocery store. I was went to the grocery store with my mom, um, and I remember Jiffy peanut butter, not Jif, Jiffy.
Yes,
I
yes.
swear. I would swear on a stack of
But
Bibles that
dude,
I saw
I
Jiffy on
remember
the shelf.
I must be a little bit older than you. I remember Annette Funicello. She was a little hottie back in the day. See,
Oh
I know
yeah.
I'm older than you.
Oh, I know she is.
I remember her slogan. And choosy mothers choose Jif. Period.
Oh, yeah, there was the slogan. I remember that. I don't remember Annette Funicello saying it, but I remember the slogan, though.
It was a net full of jello, baby, on the beach. Gotta
But
love her. She was a choosy mother, and she chose Jif. She could have been my MILF.
now,
We're gonna
I
scare
do
people
have a
quickly.
far-fetched theory, though. It's a stretch, and this goes into the last podcast we did about time travel. If it was possible, and somebody went back in time, and like I said, just their presence alone would cause a difference. It caused a parallel timeline, basically an alternate timeline. Would it be possible or probable that just their presence alone, or the slight changes they may have made through history, could cause the Mandela effect, where things are not what we remember?
Well, of course, I mean, we're definitely hypothetical here. If
Yeah.
I traveled in time, say I went back in time and killed baby Hitler, and it affected that whole universe, it wouldn't affect you at all because you'd still be living in this universe that I left from, right?
Well, it should shift. My universe should actually
Why?
shift
Why
into
would it? Why would your
into the new current timeline.
But
Well, I mean, why?
you
Why
wouldn't
would your
realize.
universe? Why would your universe change if I leave this universe and I go blow up the other one that looks like us, but I get out and I come back? Who cares, right? Whatever. Why would it change this universe if that's what actual time travel is changing dimensional universes? Then how would you ever change the universe you came from? You shouldn't in any
Well,
way.
You wouldn't
I
be
thought
able to know because that's all you know. Because when the universe has changed, when that timeline has changed, that means like your life has changed. So that's all you know. So you wouldn't be able to
Right.
know what it was before.
Okay, so if there was a physical change, then like you're saying, then you wouldn't be able to know a difference.
well, I always thought different dimensions, like parallel dimensions or a parallel universe, differed from time travel itself, where you could have a parallel universe living right next to us, coexisting at the same time, but might be subtle differences.
Okay, but I mean that's kind of like the newest argument on time travel is that you wouldn't actually travel time, you would actually travel these universes, right?
Yeah.
Well, I
Because
mean, you would. Yeah, boy, this gets really sticky down,
Th-
doesn't
It
it?
does. See, that's what I'm saying because then they come up with the new conspiracy people come up with their theory that the Earth is moving through space. So if I turn back time, I would be just floating in outer space because the Earth wouldn't even be here. And and that's kind of like the newest feed with time travel. So they really flipped over to this dimensional thing. Personally, I don't believe that with time travel. I personally believe time is an element just like light and anything else, gravity. And just like light is affected by gravity, we know time is affected by gravity. I believe it's an entity that exists throughout space. Time is there all the way. It happened with the Big Bang. The second light started streaming across the void of galaxies. Uh, Time had to be there automatically to measure it. So it's an element just like that. So if you were to turn back time, you would never be able to just turn back your time here on Earth. You would turn back time, the entire element. It'd be like if I were to stop light, I'd have to kill all light and there'd be darkness everywhere. It wouldn't just be dark here. I mean, if I had to put out all the light in the solar system, it would be dark everywhere. So
But
it's time's the same way. It's that, look at it as a string element line and the Earth is just in its path. So if I were to turn time for the Earth, I also turn time for galaxies light years away.
yeah, and I was just gonna bring that up because I remember you mentioned that in our Twitter DMs recently. Because that
Yeah.
actually blew my mind because I didn't think beyond a planetary scale. I was just like,
Well,
yeah, if
yeah, but
somebody
for
if
most
somebody tries to
people,
turn back,
we don't. We think globally. We think locally, really. And it's globally is even the wrong word. We think locally. We always compare our personal knowledges to the things that we believe. So that's why, yeah, granted, people may have some of the same experiences around the world, but when you go actually talk to people in third world countries, you won't find anybody that believes the same things that people believe in America, because you're structured by your environment when it comes to your beliefs. You really are. That's just a fact.
and the thing you brought, like you said, you brought up, like you said, not just happens on our planet; it would happen throughout the whole universe, or
Everywhere.
no
Right.
known universe. And that also it brings up another thing too. And like I said, where uh, then they would, if there's more advanced civilizations out there, I'm willing to bet there is, that, because I don't think we're the most advanced civilization in the universe, because all you have to do is look around and see. So,
Right.
but then if there's more advanced civilization out there, and we're at a point where we're starting to mess with time, whether it's some black project government experiment going on or whatnot, uh, wouldn't somebody be monitoring this, like at least somebody on a much higher technological scale, and try to step and
That would,
prevent that? I mean, like time police, basically. I
right.
mean, for a better lack
My
of a word,
opinion too.
because it would affect them too.
And realistic, if it was possible to alter time, and knowing that if you altered time here, you altered time for this galaxy a million light years away, but you're going to make their time go back also, and they're a heck of a lot smarter than us. Would they prevent us from doing it so we don't screw with their lives? Very well possible. Why not? That's a great theory, in my opinion. It fits just as well as anyone else's. You can't
And
prove otherwise.
And I'm sorry, I didn't mean like take us back to the last podcast and start back to time travel. I just wanted to
No,
bring
but
this
that's all
part up
right.
about to make a point. And also, like I said, a long stretch theory that I had, probably not even a theory, just a hypothesis, and
I tried to hit
about
on that
why we're
last time.
experiencing the Mandela effect.
Right. Actually tried to hit on that the last time. I think I explained it much better this time than I did last time. But yeah,
So,
the
to the
time.
people who are a little confused, what do you mean last podcast? What do you mean last podcast? I thought this was the first episode. So, the last podcast is kind of scrapped, but it's on Dragon Tech's channel. So, is it safe to say it's still scrapped if it's on his channel? Yeah, probably.
No,
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
no,
No,
that was like rude,
It's on my
dude.
channel, man.
it was a joke.
It
I'm
was
sorry.
rude, man.
Hey,
Yeah,
man.
it's a crap strap scrapped one, so we gave it to Dragon.
No,
Well,
That's terrible.
I cleaned up the audio and I posted it, and it did okay for somebody starting out on YouTube, I think.
I think, dude, I think it's doing good over there. I think more people might want to listen to it too. So
guys like to dick around. That's why I made that joke, but I apologize if it did come off rude. You are a new creator. You are not an established creator. Would you disagree or agree with that, Dragon Tech?
Oh no, I would totally agree that I'm not an established creator. I'm like 20 I think 27 subscribers, if that tells you anything.
So I was just leaning in on that joke. I apologize.
I got one official podcast video up there. I got one short asking a theoretical question about the Chinese balloon UFO stuff, and a parody AI voiceover thing between Obama and Trump, FBI colleague comedy thing. That was my best. Thanks to Yankee. He's the one who gave it to me. It's my best video
don't tell
yet.
nobody that.
Well, I give credit where credit's due. So
No.
Oh.
Sometimes you don't want the credit.
Oh, okay. I'll go in there and change the description then later.
Nah, dude, I don't care. Love you, brother. I knew you said you were looking for stuff like that, and I came across it. So.
It did very well, actually.
Yankee is actually
good. It'll
the
get a few more
person-
views now too.
Yankee
We'll put
got
the
me
links
on
in the
YouTube.
description. I'm sorry, Lock. Go
You're
ahead.
good. You're good. I'm the rude one. Yankee actually got me into YouTube, got me into this atmosphere. So it's cool that I got you guys to meet, and I imagine he's been able to help you, and it'll be cool to see you flourish and grow into a creator and see where this podcast goes. It's kind of like a little bit of a test dummy. Now, why the episode is the first episode, why it's not on Yankees Outdoor Adventures YouTube channel is because the audio was a little bit rough around the edges, harder to edit. Seems like Dragon Tech was overall able to salvage it. He uploaded it on his channel, and you guys do want to check that one out. It is a really great episode. Has a lot of great
And
material
we'll have
in
links
it as well. Yes.
Open that description tab. Open up the description tab. There will be links.
Yeah, I got links to both of you guys' channels and your Twitter feeds.
And this episode won't be perfect, but we will be able to look back and see what we did correctly or incorrectly, what we could improve on. So feel free to leave feedback because we definitely want all kinds of feedback. Yes.
Let me say right here, too, just in case anyone's actually still listening to the podcast this deep in, if you have a particular topic that you'd like to hear us talk about, please drop it in the comment section. This is our new podcast project, and we would be very well interested in talking about some other things that interest you.
I agree. I like that.
Yeah,
I
sounds
think,
good to me.
Being able to interact with the community is something very special. I think that's what makes creators different than what you see on television, is the fact that you feel more connected with these online personalities compared to a Kardashian that's on your TV or whatever.
Yes.
Okay, so
and what I like about these podcasts too is like it's very casual, and and it's we just get on a topic and we just hit the ground running with it, and as we go, I pull up information on the browser and try to fact check some things that are going on, what we're discussing.
I love that. I try to as well. So another topic that we had, and this one's a little more trendy. The Mexican president, I believe, the Mexican president tweeted out a photo of some sort of creature on a tree and said, "Is this an elf?" Which is kind of interesting because, to be honest, I'm taking random photos and going to say, "Hey, is this the Easter Bunny? Hey, is this that? Is this this?" It's just very weird to hear that question from someone with actual power, someone with actual, you would imagine, responsibility. So now this is what makes this situation even funnier. So it's like, okay, well, he took this photo. Maybe like something happened to him where he had more reason to believe outside of the photo. No, this is actually a photo from years ago. If you actually Google image the photo pops up, and it was posted several years ago before he even posted it, which to me is even more of a head scratcher. Did he just find a random photo on Google and just like throw it on Twitter and be like, "Hey guys, I think I found an elf"?
I'm looking at it right now, and I've come across what you're telling me, the same story you're telling me, that it's a picture that's actually circulated for several years prior to his posting of it.
And I have the picture pulled up on the recording. I'm sharing the screen right now.
Oh, you sharing the picture?
Yeah, and like I said, it brings up a lot of questions. Now, this does not make me a non-believer or anything like I said, these are things I can't prove or disprove. But just by looking at the photo itself, I see something that almost looks like a straight line seam across the top where you can actually see the green foliage of the leaves. And then everything below that, to me, looks manipulated, like they inverted the colors. And it's something.
Well, the blur looks different. I see what you're saying. I do see what you're saying. I don't have this in a big screen like to try to actually break down the pixels, but just visually looking at the picture, I do see after the face, the blur down the back looks almost extra blurred. Do you understand what I mean? Like it's over pixelated on purpose, like a Google Map thing. Uh,
and like I said, it look
are
almost
we
like
looking at a bird right there, dude?
That's what
Forget
I'm
about the
thinking.
stuff
It's
that
an
looks like
owl.
hair. Forget about the hair. That's not hair. That's a tree behind it. Okay? That's not hair. Like, it looks like it's got hair on its head, right?
it does look like hair,
But it's
like
not.
white, like from whatever the filter that was used, it looks like white hair.
Okay, but it's not. Now get that, put that in your mind. Keep looking at this here. It's not hair. That same color white is the tree that it's hanging on. Okay? That's tree behind it. Now look at the two eyes and come right in the middle of it. You can almost see the light colored beak that comes to a
Yeah,
point
and I've
and
never noticed
almost
it.
two
Yeah,
nostrils. You see it?
yeah, I do.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, I
We just
mean,
busted that one, boys.
I can't currently zoom in on that right now, but I mean, like I said, it could be almost like what they call it, pareidolia, where people are looking at the clouds and one person points out something, say, "Doesn't that look like that?" And they're like, "Oh yeah, that does look like whatever shape they're naming," and
Well, yeah,
that's
I
what they
feel like
foresee.
it was giving them eye glow, and that's what I'm going on, right? That if that those are eyes that are glowing now, and if they're not, okay, then maybe that's actually a hollow in the tree, and that's just two reflective points. So now here, refix your vision. As I explained this to you, that white, it's
Mm.
not hair, it's part of the tree. The dark is not a head, it is the hollow or a hole in the tree. The two white spots, something reflective back inside the hole, maybe sticks coming out on the sides of the hole.
Now, if nobody ever told me what this is and just say, "Here, look at this picture and tell me what you thought," I don't
I'd say,
know
I don't know.
I don't know what I would say. But since it was
I'd say, I don't know.
already said in was it Rap TV? It says Mexican president posts this picture of Elf, and then it's the image is already in my head. So when I look at it,
Mm.
to me, I already see something. It looks like an arm holding the left arm
Yeah,
holding the tree,
Yeah.
and almost and behind
Yeah.
and in front of it, it looks like the left knee bent in front of it, like they're sitting
I
there almost
swear
in
I
a
see a
squatting
bird's head,
position.
dude.
it's
I
like
swear
the
I see a bird's head looking straight at you. I swear.
the
That's what I
best way
see.
to, I guess, compare it to is how a psychologist is going to hand you a photo and say, "What does this photo look like to you?" And
The
then there's
Is it
going to be, depending on the person, one person's going to say,
it's a
"This is a duck," or "Oh, this is a pond," or "This is that," and each
it's a
person,
vulture.
yeah, the answer
It's a
varies. Yeah.
vulture. And what you're seeing as like his shoulder, that's actually the vulture's back hump. Because a vulture's, if you watch how a vulture's head is real far up on his body, it's a vulture sitting in the tree. I don't think that's his hand. I just think that's all part of the blur. His wing might be pushed out a little bit right there, and he's turned looking at the guy who's flashing the camera at him.
it's could be very possible.
Too bad
And
I
this
don't know. There you
wasn't
go.
a. Too bad this wasn't like a paparazzi that took this photo, because they could make like a serious buck off of it. Whoever
Okay,
did
but now
this.
here, let me really play with you for a minute with this photo. Refocus your eyes. Ignore the head and the glowing eyes up there. Cut it off. Don't even look up there. Do you guys see the face?
I don't I mean, like,
On a
it,
straight line across, get rid of that head. Cut him off right at the shoulder.
okay.
And then the eyeballs will be at the top of the picture, the nose, the mouth. It's a whole big face there, the whole thing, even an ear.
Okay, so I don't see a face, but I
Oh my
do
God, you don't
see.
see?
I do see. Maybe I do actually, though. I don't know if we're talking about a separate one. I see almost like a figure with eyes and a nose. Not
Yeah, like you
at
almost
the
see nostrils.
not exactly at the top right, but close to the top right corner. I do feel like I see a face. Is that what you're talking about, perhaps?
Okay. No, I'm take the actual picture, okay, of the creature that we're looking at, right? The tree he's hanging on, and his head, right? Draw a straight line across that picture, cutting off his head and the top part of his shoulder. Okay, And now
Okay.
look at the rest of the picture that's left down.
It kind of looks like a Spartan helmet to me.
Oh my gosh, I see the whole face though. 2 eyes, nose, mouth, even an ear. He could be wearing a helmet.
I guess. I mean, no. I mean, all I see is like, I mean, from
Oh
that
my
point
god,
where
I
you told me
even
to cut
see,
off, look down, looks like it's the rest of the body is just the head. But if I look hard enough, like I said, like looking at the dark spot could be an eye socket.
I'm gonna have to. You know what I'm gonna do for you before we upload this? I'm gonna take the picture and I'm gonna draw outline on what I see for you guys, and then you'll be like, "Oh my god, yeah, check it out." I know you will.
Yankee, I'm going to send you a screenshot because it's very interesting. We see two different faces. I'm going to send you a screenshot of the face I see, and you can throw that up on
Okay.
screen as well.
Now, are you
Well,
seeing something in the upper right hand corner?
Yes,
Lock? It looks
you are
like cartoon eyes.
You are pointing at it. Yes, it's almost like a cartoon face. Yeah.
Yeah, it almost
Yeah.
looks like a Jim Henson puppet.
Exactly. Yeah. So you see exactly what I'm talking about. Yeah.
Yeah. But what I'm thinking is right here, like where the arm could be another part of the branch coming off the tree. Could be shadow and lighting from, like I said, low resolution camera and poor compression rating. Because a lot of people, when they pull out their camera phones and stuff like that, 90% of the people don't go into their settings and turn it up to its, raw footage and to get the most data and bits, and because they'll just fill up their memory or their SD card really, really fast. And a lot of people just keep it at the stock compression settings that it comes in with, or or they hold their phone vertically nowadays because of TikTok, instead of just taking a second and tilting it sideways to give it a nice widescreen, high resolution type of video or picture.
I real quick, and obviously edit this out. I'm gonna be right back. My dog's barking. I did take her out beforehand, but she has to go out again. So that's dogs for you. I'll be right back.
All right. Well, we can plan that as an edit and a commercial break anyway. So, how do I
even though
turn
I'm
my
not sponsored.
camera around? How do I turn my camera around?
Oh, I didn't. Oh, there you go. We can see
Yeah, but
it.
how do I turn it around?
Oh, this should be, yeah.
Got it.
There you go.
Look, right here is the face. My finger's on top of the face.
Yeah.
You see it? See
yeah.
his nose? You see his eyes, his nose, his mouth, his ear, his shoulders, his neck. You see it?
Yeah, I do. I can see that. Yeah.
I ruined you now. Now you'll always see it.
Well, like I said, it's a pareidolia kind of thing where, like I said, if somebody already says what they think it is, then it's kind of like I said. This goes right back into the little bit of the Mandela effect, like we were discussing earlier, where your brain starts filling in those blanks with false information.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, see, for me, I love that type of stuff, though. So I go with it. Like I was so excited that I found that face, and I see Locke's face now too. I see it. I see what he's talking about as plain as day, and I'll never unsee it. It's there now. I love that. I love that our brains are that magical. That's what I love, dude. That's magic. That's brain magic right there.
And as I'm looking at this picture even more closely, I'm not sure if it may or may not have been manipulated by some sort of Photoshop program or anything like that. It may be just such low compression, or maybe depending on the phone, some of the phones have a low light vision, and they may have these auto settings. So it might have been going in and out of auto. It may have caught it right in the middle of a switch of going between those two settings, because
it could be a zoom. Everyone underestimates. I got 8K on my camera, but let me tell you, when I take a video and then I pull it into the editor and I try to zoom in a small corner of that big video, it looks like crap.
Oh yeah,
because it's
because
only 8K if it's all the way out. You know what I mean?
yeah, because our phones are not. I mean, even if they're the top brand phones, and some of them have amazing, camera lenses and stuff on there,
Yeah.
but they're not the same as a professional camcorder. There's a big
No.
difference between digital zoom, which most phones have,
And
and when
telescopic zoom.
and yeah, an optical zoom, because
Yep.
a digital zoom, when you try to zoom in on it, say you put your two fingers on the screen and zoom in, it gets pixelated, it gets distorted, it starts to look like 90% of these sighting videos out there that we'll never truly know if it's real or not. It's all
Right.
speculation. And where an optical zoom actually keeps the focus and keeps the image quality, pretty much like a telescope, like you were saying, like a telescopic lens.
Yeah. Telescopic lens, because it's using lenses to keep it crystal clear. You're focusing it to crystal clear at a far distance. You
Right.
can't do that with any smartphone.
No. Unless unless they got some sort of attachment. They got these
Yeah.
attachments nowadays. They got like
Oh, yeah.
FLIR and all
But I
kinds of
don't even know
stuff.
if they work. I got a telescope attachment for my old Galaxy, but back then Galaxy only had one camera. Now it's got three, and it really don't work because you don't. You don't get you're not able to zoom your lenses on it because it switches to the other cameras.
Yeah, I got two cameras on the back of mine. I don't even know if I've even used the other one.
It
Or how to
does.
access it.
It accesses when you zoom and zoom out. It
Oh,
changes
okay.
cameras.
Okay.
So if you're using a telescope, you'll go ahead and get your focus and zoom your camera a little bit to get your perfect view. Because I used to do it all the time with my other one, and then now you can't, because as soon as you touch the zoom, you're off your telescope and you're on one of those other damn cameras.
Yeah. So yeah, it's just like I said, I mean, like that's what bothers me with paranormal or Sasquatch investigations and stuff like that out there. They it just most of the footage out there I see is 90% of it is low quality resolution or high compression ratings, especially with security cam footages.
Oh God, yeah.
Those are, I mean, and I'm like, we live in a very technological age where
And
we could do so much better.
and they
And
come suggested. See, and that's the other thing. Remember, like we pointed out earlier, with the reason it's illegal, or a judge will stop a lawyer from leading a question, is because by leading a question you can manipulate the answer. None of these things come to you as, hey, give me your honest opinion of what this is. It comes at you as, hey, this is Bigfoot.
right.
So they're leading the question right from the get-go. So of course, many are going to conclude it's what you're leading. That's how the brain works. That's why
Yeah.
courts don't allow you to do it.
And that's why I always hear that terminology, especially with courts, to prove something beyond a shadow of a doubt.
Mhm. Exactly. Yeah, and memory has never been ever been the number one thing to rely on. Like I said earlier on too, police know that every hour that passes. This is why when something happens, they hold everybody. They don't let you go. And if you're ever involved in something major, you'll realize that they split the people up because they don't even want you talking to each other. Why? Because it screws up what you remember right from the
Right.
beginning, right from the start.
Plus, they want to see if the stories collab with one, or if
Well,
if
but
they're identical,
honestly,
or if they're two different stories.
right, and two different stories doesn't mean much, because of a person can be telling the truth and be telling the complete opposite story. That's the other thing, because this comes to your memory. When your memory fills in the blanks, you're telling the truth. You're not lying.
Yeah.
When we all found out earlier that the Mandela effect, we were all wrong about. We weren't lying about what we said. We remembered it that way.
And we
So,
truly believed it too.
and we truly believed it. but does that, but that happens according to police and legal officials. That happens with all human beings with all types of questioning.
So
That
the Mandela effect may be more of a common occurrence on a daily basis than we suspect, and just going through and saying, Luke, I am your father, or Jiffy peanut butter. I mean, it could be a daily thing that's going on out there.
yeah. Yeah, well,
That's
it
it.
is because again, like we pointed out with your car keys, that's the smallest level of Mandela effect I can give you. That happens to everybody that isn't a Mandela effect, but it is the exact same experience.
Well, here's when it's really bugging me right now. I didn't notice this until today, and I've watched Star Wars many, many a times, and that's whoa, what happened? I didn't get it to work. C-3PO
Did
from
it
Star
stop
Wars.
recording?
No, I was
Oh,
trying to share my screen,
oh, okay.
and I don't know why it's pulling up
I got it.
you.
I see it. I'm looking at it.
Yeah, but it's not doing it for the recording. So
Uh,
I'm trying to figure out. Oh, there we go. I just had to click on your name. There we go. That's better. But C-3PO, I thought he was gold from head to toe. And apparently he has one silver leg on his right leg from the knee down.
yeah.
Now
It
I'm gonna have to watch it tonight and
didn't
see for
he
myself.
in one of the movies. I don't remember. See, because I'm not a big Star Wars fan, so I don't really chime in on these. Uh, didn't in one of the movies, uh, he get like rebuilt and he was all gold at the end?
Yeah, I want to say that was Empire Strikes Back,
Okay,
where
then doesn't that alone mean that in Star Wars he wasn't all gold if he became all gold at the end of the second one?
yeah, but I thought he was all gold all the way through.
But he couldn't have been, or how did he become all gold at the end?
I
So
don't
that meant
know. That's
something
what's
wasn't gold about him.
I just known he was torn apart in one of the movies, and then he was carried on Chewbacca's back for a while, and then they reassembled him later. Or actually,
But
I think
wasn't there
R2-D2
a
was
point
reassembled.
made though? It seems to me like it was once they reassembled him, they made a point that he was all gold. Am I
Dad,
wrong about that?
wow, and I've watched these movies many times, and I can't remember if they did or not.
Because if they did, that alone proves that he had silver on him somewhere.
Yeah, but I mean it just bugs me to see that this was supposed to be the true one, and it's in my mind it's different.
The other way. But again, unlike finding the car keys where your memory gets to click, this is a memory that you've kept a very, very long time. So it's harder for it to click and say, "Oh yeah, that's right," because it didn't just happen an hour ago; it actually happened years and years and years ago.
Yeah, because my grandfather actually took me to see this movie. I
See,
mean, in I think,
right?
was it 1976, 77 when it came out? And yeah, I've watched it many times. The old version, and then the remake that George Lucas came out with. He wanted to add other things into it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to think what I can remember of the movie, and like all movies, don't you always see more of the character from the waist up than the waist down on the
That's
majority of the time?
pretty much true there, because the camera's
So,
focusing on the
I
actors.
mean, I'm just wondering because you're like naturally, the human mind to recreate anybody's humanoid look would make them the same color. So
Yeah.
if it wasn't something like they pointed out, like if some point Luke didn't say, "Damn, dude, you got a silver leg," uh, it- maybe it really went unnoticed, and your brain always filled in the blank. Always legs are all the same color. What's that? You wouldn't even think of it because it wasn't pointed out as a thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think one way to
I didn't. I blew it up. But my brother had a bunch of Star Wars toys, And I don't remember any of his toys having a silver leg, but like I said, did blow up a lot of them, burnt a lot of them, melted a bunch of them.
I actually had the C-3PO
Probably mad
toy,
about that
and I
now.
recall him being all gold.
Yeah, that's why I remember the toys being all gold. There's a good question. Find out if the toys were all gold, because if they weren't, then there's a Mandela effect for me, because that's how I remember them.
I had a toy as well, and I remember it being all
I
gold.
remembered once he started melting, he didn't stay gold.
One thing that I find interesting in a way to think about the Mandela effect is we as humans, we want to be able to trust each other. We want to be able to build close relationships so we don't feel as alone. And the idea of not being able to trust the brain, in my opinion, is a really fantastic way to just freak out your brain. You're like, yo, you're pretty much all I really got at the end of the day, and I can't even trust you. I think that automatically makes us want to come up with these crazy excuses like, oh, surely it's because of this or because of that and because of that. And it's like, your brain is way less reliable than you want to admit, because why would you want to admit that it's unreliable? We want to pretend we as humans are very self-aware, and we may be self-aware
And the
on
brain's
a surface, but
in the brain's defense, it is responsible for every single thing you do. It's responsible for keeping you safe. It's responsible for keeping you breathing. It's responsible for keeping you eating and digesting. And what happened?
he just stopped sharing
Oh,
his screen.
Oh yeah, I mean,
oh, he shot you.
that's
Okay.
just
Yeah. So, in defense of the brain, it's responsible for all of those things. And it's also responsible for giving you the answers you need when you need them. And being such a responsible organ, if it cheats every once in a while, can we hold it against it?
Nah,
uh,
I give it a pass.
well, we
I
know
see. There you go.
like what the scientists say that we don't even use like 10% of our brain as it is anyway. So, I mean, what's the other 90 something percent doing? So this is probably part of one of the mysteries where it's like filling in the blanks or with false memories and stuff like that. I mean, they're similar but not accurate.
Now, this
Right.
is an
Good.
interesting one if you want to tackle it. Just recently, scientists have discovered that psychedelics actually make you grow certain brain cells that you wouldn't normally have without the psychedelics. So that is like,
Stoned ape theory.
oh, okay, let's dive into it.
Yeah,
The-
stoned ape theory. I mean, it's a very old theory that primitive man. Okay, so again, you want to go with evolution, whatnot. It's controversial. So, but primitive man would be pre-Neanderthal, because Neanderthal were known to use more tools. So it would have been pre-Neanderthal. Um, had gone through a very troubling time with climate and whatnot, and it killed off a large amount of their food supply. In reaction to that, they began to scurge for things and eat things that they did not normally eat. Some of this being psychedelic mushrooms. Psychedelic mushrooms may be the very reason why the brain evolved to the next level of creating tools, because once even a monkey in a cage is given LSD, they find out that the monkey no longer acts like a monkey. He begins to think about other things. The monkey may normally want to grab the banana and eat it right away, but now maybe he'll grab the banana and kind of trip out on feeling the peel. So he's thinking in a new way. And this is very much what the psychedelics had done over ages, possibly. Yeah, it's a cool theory. Don't know if it's true, but it's cool.
I think it's fun to entertain for sure. That's crazy.
Yeah.
I think what works really well for this kind of podcast as well is to be able to look at current events, be able to look at theories with it, because a lot of people look at something and it's hard for us to explain why We're able to grow certain brain cells due to psychedelics. And right now, since this is such a new hot discovery, we don't really have an explanation. It's just, oh, this is very interesting. And then we are left to theorize and have conversations about. And I think that's what makes this podcast and this concept so interesting here.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. Definitely.
I just pulled up another one of the Mandela effects. This one has got my mind blown. It's from The Lord of the Rings, the famous scene where Gandalf is hanging off the ledge fighting that big demon with a whip. And I would swear to God, he said, "Run, you fools," before he fell. It's "Fly, you fools." And I don't know if you, Locke, maybe your generation, you probably watched this movie, haven't you?
Most people from my generation would say yes, but I'm a bit of an uncultured swine when it comes to movies. That's a whole nother
Yeah,
conversation.
I am too, so
Okay.
don't feel bad. No, I am too, so don't feel bad, dude. I don't keep up with movies.
I would swear it was "Run, fly, you fools." That's just,
My
I don't know, just
guess,
something weird about that.
my
You'll
guess
get
to
somebody
that,
in the podcast to agree with you in the comment
for
section.
sure. I feel like so many people over time paraphrased it based off memory that we all
Yeah.
was like, okay, this paraphrasing is how it was done. And then you look back at the
That's
movie, and you ever watch a movie a few years later and you start noticing and remembering details that you like completely forgot about. I feel like it's one of those scenarios, to be honest.
But this is
yeah,
a
it
movie
is.
I watched several times, though, and I would swear up and down as the day is long that he said "Run, you fools." I was a big Peter Jackson fan.
Just be careful what you swear on with this one.
Yeah, but it's it's hard to say because the paraphrasing, like Locke mentioned, that I think has a lot to do with the Star Wars uh Mandela effect with the Luke, your father, because that thing has been paraphrased more than I don't know what. I can remember cartoons doing it, commercials doing it.
You got to think all it takes is one like late night host or one TV
Yeah,
show or one person to paraphrase it, and then it's the butterfly effect of everyone paraphrasing it until we completely forget what the original verse is, what the original quote
and
is.
remember this: paraphrasing can always become more popular because the actual phrase may be a copyright,
That's true. That's
which
true.
means
Yeah.
nobody can really repeat it.
It's kind
You
of
know
like
what I mean?
nobody can sing "Happy Birthday" over a
It,
radio or on TV without paying royalties to somebody.
that's the same type of scenario. So if honestly, if Star Wars owns the royalties to the audio, wouldn't they be able to claim some type of royalties if you say no, I'm your father? Well, that's a direct quote from my movie.
True.
But if
That's
I say Luke, I'm your father, uh, well now anybody can say that.
I believe
okay.
even
Okay. So I bet a probably like a parody show or whatever, like per se a Simpsons, most likely at
Sure.
some point paraphrased it and paraphrased it enough to not get into any legal troubles, and then
Yep.
it started a phenomenon.
Exactly.
huh.
Here's one for you, and I wonder about Jiffy on this one. Okay, now I can't say I ever remember it seeing it this way, but have you ever watched sitcoms or something along that line and take notice of the cereal boxes or the pop cans, uh, and take a moment to actually read what they are? All right. They're never the actual product. There's always a letter added or a letter missing because they're props. I wonder if Jiffy was actually used on some, like on Friends countertop or something, and we just seen it for years and never even realized it.
It's those little
It's
subconscious details that can really change our
Right.
perspective. Yeah.
It's
it's
easy to happen.
and like with the Cinderella one, I used to think it was "Mirror, Mirror on the Wall." Apparently, it's "Magic Mirror on the Wall."
Yeah, I don't know. When you said magic mirror, that's what sounded right to me.
I
But
mean,
when
yeah,
you
I
said
mean, I could go
mirror,
either way with it now.
Mirror, mirror
but
on
when
the
you said
wall
mirror, mirror,
has more of
I've
a
heard that
vibe.
100 times because go back to Looney Tunes. Bugs Bunny said it in his Halloween special. He said mirror, mirror on the wall when he was in that witch's house.
Well, that might go right back into the legalities, the royalties, because Warner
Yep,
Brothers and Disney are two different companies, and
exactly.
so okay, that could definitely be something there. I mean, there's all kinds. I got like this website shows 50 different things, um, uh, like Febreze. That's that one blew my mind, and I would swear it was two E's myself.
Boy, I don't. Yeah, that's not. I ain't got a dog in that race, man. I just don't. You know what I mean? I can't. I don't have a memory either way on it, so I wouldn't.
Oh, here we go. How about the Monopoly guy?
Yeah, pentacle or eyeglass or no eyeglass.
The monocle, yeah.
Yeah, monocle. And I've actually talked about this in one other show. I think the Monopoly man on the McDonald's game, which would have been a copyright infringement, if you think about it, if they made him the same, I think he had an eyeglass. But that's not the Monopoly man.
Yeah, I mean, I played Monopoly many times as a kid into young adulthood, and
But
I'd swear again, he had a
do you
monocle.
remember do you remember the McDonald's game that for
Yeah,
years you got McDonald's Monopoly pieces, right?
right.
I think he had a monocle. And
That's
that's why you remember the original one having one. McDonald's had a copyright thing going on there. They had to give it a monocle.
huh. Okay. And then and anybody that gets Boardwalk and Park Place gets $1 million too. It's so
Yeah.
maybe that's why I was so embedded in people's heads that he always had a monocle, because people are going McDonald's trying to get that last game piece. You always get one or the other, but you never got both.
Yep. I remember I was working in construction and some dude come over from the McDonald's and handed us a whole stack of winning tickets that were for like lunches, man, like full meals. And we worked right behind the McDonald's for about 3 months on that project, and we ate at McDonald's every day off those tickets. And he just the first day out there, he just come out and said, "Here, guys, you'll want these," and he just handed us a bunch of them. They were all winners for food.
Oh, another big one too for the Mandela Effect was the Fruit of the Loom logo,
I am
which
literally just looking at that on Reddit. I'm just looking at that on Reddit.
and once again I would swear it had the cornucopia behind the fruit. That's what it's called, like a cornucopia.
Yep.
And
Yep.
I would swear that's what it was too.
And the interesting thing about that, and someone mentioned this on Reddit, is like it is in our underwear. And when you're younger, you're always looking at your underwear. You're always, especially as a guy, you're always doing something weird, right? So it's like, how would we? It's just kind of hard to wrap your head around this one for me.
Let me ask you this, because it's in your underwear, you probably don't look at that back tag as often as you may think. Let's do a quick search if somebody's got a minute and see if on YouTube we can find any old Fruit of the Loom commercials. I believe there was a commercial where they used a Horn of Plenty. And would that be enough to make you guys think it was on the logo?
Oh yeah, I mean,
I think that because those actors weren't on the logo, right? It's just
right.
fruit on the logo.
And
So
those sorry, go ahead.
I think there's a commercial with those actors
Jacoby
like
here.
coming out of a
Represent
Corn of Plenty.
Fruit of the Loom.
A Horn of Plenty.
Before delving
Oh,
it's often asked how we know for certain.
let me see if I
that's
can
what we're
find that
talking
real
about.
quick.
Yes, check that for me, because
Because
that's
the
what my
fruit
memory's
contains
telling
the
me.
mark
But now I
research we
might be
know
wrong,
about.
man.
This is where we give thanks to the pack rats of the world. Many times vintage unopened bags from the 60s, 70s, and 80s.
I love brain things of all sorts. The brain is awesome, man. You just think about what your brain can do. You can go to sleep, and you can live an entire life in that time that you're sleeping. It could seem like hours and hours, and it'll only be a few minutes. It's just your brain's amazing.
I don't know if I could find one where it looks like they're coming out of a cornucopia, but I see several old commercials. I got one here from 1978, but they're hanging around some old lady.
Yeah, I mean, there was a bunch. I remember.
And I'm happy to report he came through and fully delivered. So a special thanks goes out to Juggling Knives for making this happen, keeping me in the loop over some highlights. Starting with Reed's first message about springing.
Welcome, people of planet Earth and all planets beyond. Thank you guys so much for watching.
I don't know, but the thing is when I take my mouse off of Discord, it stops streaming to save resources. It says I don't know how to stop that, so may not be able to see it until I click back over.
Richard Simmons. Do you know that, Locke? You know who Richard Simmons is, Locke?
It does ring a bell. I believe my parents have talked about him. I think I found the reason.
I think he's the grape. I think he's actually the grape.
Okay, so
I do believe.
I found something very interesting. There's something called Frank West's Flute of the Loom, and it is kind of like a alternative version of Fruit of the Loom. It's an album from 1973. I wonder if our brains have somehow mix-mashed this photo and another photo due to the branding and the logo being so similar, and you connect it together, and then it becomes what we currently imagine as Fruit of the Looms. I just sent a link there.
Like, that is like the Hamilton experiment then, that, it only takes one other thing to get into your memory while you're learning about another for them to morph together.
Because I'm unable to find anything else that sticks out, but this was apparently a pretty big album at the time. I'm not sure, though. Let's see. For at least jazz.
Well, this guy's video right here is showing, hang on, we saw you pull it back up again. He was showing, here it is from 1960s. There's no cornucopia. '50s through the '60s, no cornucopia. And then he pulls up another one, I think from the '80s, and that still didn't have cornucopia on it. So, yeah, that's just got my mind blown. There's '70s to '80s.
I swear the only reason I know what a cornucopia is because of this logo, and now I'm actually confused.
Yeah, me too. I always thought it was a terminology. I didn't know it was a thing.
Well, it's a Thanksgiving thing.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, come on, guys.
Because that's what
you learned about it when you were in school long before you thought about the underwear.
Because it's something to do with like harvest season.
Yeah, well, it's the horn of plenty, right? It shows the bountiful harvest.
Oh, here we go. Here's another good example for Mandela Effect. Mona Lisa, her smile.
Yeah, I've looked at those. I'm not sure. I guess I wasn't a big enough art connoisseur in today.
Well, I always thought she just kind of had this condescending smirk, but I wouldn't say it was a smile.
I always thought her smirk was kind of rude when I was little. It was like that judgy smirk that like maybe like a Karen would give you as you're doing something maybe a little goofy or questionable in the store.
It's been recreated a lot though, guys. How many times have you seen a commercial where they make her smile or whatever, right?
Right.
So we're judging those commercials however they have her original smile before they make her smile. And that's probably not even a real picture of the Mona Lisa.
Yeah.
But that's probably more our memory of her.
Yeah, I can't recall her ever having a smile. I mean, that's one Mandela effect that never hit me. At
But you
least I
can
was always
remember
just
a commercial where she smiled, can't you?
probably, yeah. I mean, but that's just a commercial and usually effects, you know.
Well, but that's the
But
point. That's leading. That's the
yeah,
leading part of your memory. That's why leading is illegal in court, because it is putting something in your mind that our brains naturally. Okay, maybe a
Debunking
better way to
Tony the
look at it.
Tiger's Blue Nose
Our
Mandela
brain
Effect.
clumps things
In the
together for its
1950s,
memory
Tony the
purpose.
Tiger had a black nose.
So
what's
if there's similarities, it clumps it together to help remember.
it's kind of like a case where somebody tells a lie and they keep telling that lie for a very long time. It gets to the point they believe their own lie. And they
Yeah.
almost think it's true or have their own memories
Well,
to
That's
it.
got to be where
Yeah.
many dictators are at.
I mean, I don't know if it starts with a lie and believing your own lie, because I mean it's really different between lying and truly believing you've seen something. That's why you can't go out and call Bigfoot people who have sightings, even if you don't want to believe their sightings. You can't say they're lying about their sighting, because even if they didn't see a Bigfoot, if they are convinced they did, they're not lying to you. They're
Yeah,
telling you the truth. They seen Bigfoot because they're
I mean,
convinced they did.
I believe
That
they seen something, but
Yeah,
it
that's why people lie
is
in court but
yeah,
don't get charged with perjury, because they're not really lying. They're telling what they remember. And your brain is your brain. It's a magic little box. It can do anything.
I mean, even not only does the brain replace or change memories and fill in blanks, the brain will also completely just blink out events if it is so traumatizing. Uh,
Yes.
One of my
Yes.
friends got in a car accident, and she remembers everything up until when the car accident happened, and she doesn't remember a lot. A lot of details are just completely missing. And then there is I like murder mysteries and documentaries and stuff like that. And there's a lot of cases where like a little boy may be found in the woods or something, and that little boy genuinely doesn't remember what happened, just because his brain is protecting him.
Yeah, did a shutdown of the traumatic experience. I mean, amnesia is there's amnesia that comes on people without an injury. You can be forced into a mental psychosis of amnesia, and this is just a way of your brain. You forget your entire life because your brain's trying to protect you.
yeah,
Should we wrap
it
this
makes
up?
sense.
We're pretty. I'd say this has been a pretty great episode.
I
Yeah,
love
we
it.
just a little over. Where we gone?
Say like an
Yeah,
hour,
we're almost
20.
at an hour and a half. Yeah, we're an hour 23.
All right, awesome. Yankee, do you have any closing statements by chance?
My biggest thing to say here would be just don't take anybody's word for things. Take your own time, research, learn about a situation. But remember, we can't always trust ourselves, even though we think we're real trustful. Our memories are affected by our lives. So if it's important to remember it accurately, write it down. Go back and read it every now and then and keep the memory accurate. And thanks for having me here, guys.
Thanks for having me. Thanks for having all of us. I think this is this is all really a partnership here. And
It's
it
a
wouldn't
joint
work.
adventure.
Yeah,
Yeah, joint
you
adventure.
remove one and it's just not going to work. So this works because we're all here together. And Dragon Tech, do you have any final statement, closing words?
Yeah, it's just I still swear Jiffy peanut butter existed. No, even though even though it doesn't. So, but yeah, it's amazing what the brain can do, and it's still a very little explored area, even though scientists are still making breakthroughs every day. Like I said, almost over 90% of the brain is still unexplored, unrecognized of what all its complete functions can do. And like we said, it could easily fill in the blanks of things with false information that we would just swear as the day is long is factual. Just like Yankee said, just because we believe it doesn't mean, if you believe it doesn't mean you're not telling the truth. It just it might
Right.
be just false information.
The way I would like to end the podcast with my final statement, I do want to once again just give it a little apology, or big, whatever you wanted to identify it as, an apology to Dragon Tech for my joke earlier about the scrapped episode. And unfortunately, it did not land as well as I thought it did in my head. My intrusive thoughts.
It didn't hurt my feelings.
My intrusive thoughts, unfortunately, won in this episode today. But
hey, we all got to start somewhere.
Exactly. and a big reason I do want to apologize, even though it may not hurt your feelings, considering the fact that this is the first episode on Yankees channel. I don't want anyone to get the incorrect idea of me. So this isn't just an apology to Dragon Tech, but an apology to the audience as well for that one.
I'll guarantee you, anybody who watches the video all the way through is going to want to go watch Dragon's other video because we talked about it so much.
Exactly. That's what I was thinking right when it happened.
Yep.
I'm like, this little tiff-taff makes for some great promotion.
Yep.
You look at in any current event, you turn on the news, what sticks out to you the most is going to be the drama. It's going to be the situation. So this was all a scripted bit, confirmed. I just didn't talk to them beforehand. No. With that being said, though, my name is LockIsLive. Feel free to look me up on YouTube. I try to do a handful of gaming live streams if you are into video games. And a lot of the times when I do these live streams, I kind of go on these rambles and I go on rampages. And I try to make these live streams something that, not only that gamers can enjoy, but other people who are outside of the gaming community can enjoy. If you are a gamer, you're going to more likely enjoy it because it is gaming. But even if you're not a gamer, come on, give me a look, give me a search, see what you think. And if you do enjoy, be sure to subscribe. And be sure to subscribe to all of us, of course. We're all in the description.
Links in the description.
With that being said, you already know, hit that like, hit that subscribe. Did I say subscribe? Yeah, subscribe. Peace out.
Do it.